everybody tonight. Welcome to John Patriot, and you can tell it's getting close to election time. We have a lot of candidates tonight, and we have a full schedule, so we're going to try to keep it moving. But before we do that, we're going to pray and say the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we could all stand up together, and then we'll begin. Lord Jesus, we thank you so much for, Lord, this beautiful group of people, these patriots tonight. I ask, Lord, that you'll bless them. Father, I ask that you bless them in the name of your Son. Lord, we thank you that we can be here tonight. We can be free people. And Lord, we thank you that you're going to show us who to vote for. You're raising up candidates that'll stand for our freedoms. We pray tonight that you'll bless them all. And we thank you, Lord, again, that we could be here. We thank you that we could pledge allegiance to this wonderful flag. And Lord, call this country our country, freest nation on the face of this earth. And Lord, we just pray that we don't lose our freedoms. We vote for the right people. We keep the right people in place. And Father, that our freedom will reign in this country and in this nation. And Lord, the forces of darkness will come down. And Father, we ask this all to be done. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen and amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. So tonight is our, I'm very PowerPoint driven. Tonight is our candidates. So we have some candidates tonight, and I would like to ask Ben Decker to come up first, because he's going to give you a little update on the library and the school board, who has a special meeting tomorrow night, but I'll let him announce that. Come running up, Ben. Ben Decker, come on down. You're running for office, too.
Yes. Hello, I'm Ben Decker. I'm running for City Council Ward 1. So first I wanted to talk about a couple of things. At the library, we've been fighting basically pornographic material in the children and teen section. And with the ALA elected a president that is Marxist lesbian, and she is open about her agenda to pervert the kids and to disconnect them from their parents. And she does this by putting these books in the school and public libraries around the country. One of the recent books we found basically...
Just want to interrupt. We have some little ones here. So,
okay,
you know what? I'll take you outside for a minute.
Okay.
Think about the children's church.
Oh, whoops, thank you. All right, well, I'll try to explain it tamely, and you can read it afterwards if you want to. But anyways, it says that it basically has a little boy with some older boys or men with the pants around their ankles, and it's forcing the little boy to drink the bodily fluids of the older boys. And that's right now currently in our teen section of our public library. So all we've asked for so far is that they move those kind of books to the adult section. They have actually moved 2 books. I think this is one of the books they purchased to replace one of the books they moved to the adult section. So anyways, that's what we're fighting against there. And I'm not going to say the name, but I'll tell you afterwards. I don't want it to be like publicly advertised, I guess.
And what is your position? Sorry. What is the position of that woman? She's the president of the...
The president of the American Library Association. Her name is Emily Dobrinsky.
Who you were talking about? What is her position at the library? Who you were talking about? That's chief director. Oh, it is her.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a nationwide effort. They're doing this in the libraries across the country, in all school libraries, in all public libraries. And it's no secret anymore. It's not a conspiracy theory. You can read about what she says her agenda is and why she's doing it. And it's to separate kids from their parents and basically make the country Marxist. In the schools right now, I think Troy may talk about this a little bit more later, but they're tying funding for children in need to get lunches to, in order to get funding for the lunches for children in need, they need to allow boys and girls bathroom and boys and girls sports. And right now we're trying to fight that at the state level, but there's a school board meeting tomorrow, and I'm going to go and talk to them about if it's not stopped at the state level, to stop it at the school board level, so at least our district doesn't participate and finds other funding for the lunches.
Is that meeting here?
It is. I think it's 5 o'clock tomorrow it's at the head shed for the school district, 1008 West 8th.
Across the street from the hospital, kind of.
Yeah, the administration office upstairs, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason I'm running for city council is I want it to be less dramatic there. I want to go back to the basics. So I think if we're doing a good job, it should be boring, and you shouldn't have to think about us. We should be doing fire, police department, basic infrastructure, and none of the extra circus. So last year, the city's budget was $118 million proposed, and they spent $204.9 million. So somewhere, which I know some of the things they spent it on, they spent over $80 million extra above the approved budget. It was for cost of living adjustments for staff, the Madison pipeline, the wastewater treatment plant, and maybe a couple other things, but those are the main ones. But I don't think that you should have that big of a difference in the proposed budget versus what you spend. So I want to focus on the basics and keep your taxes, fees, and utility bills low by not getting involved in all other aspects of your life. So that's why I'm running. All right, I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you for shutting my mic off. Thank you, Ben.
I got one question.
Where's this picture? There it is. Look at that. Isn't that a nice picture? Go ahead.
Yeah, who funds the library, that National Library Board?
I think every library pays dues to the American Library Association. So another interesting part is that the American Library Association actually gave our library director $500 to, like, as a thank you for keeping the books in the library and for fighting against our protests of them. So
How did he get the position?
how did they get?
How did he get the position? They're appointed, not elected.
Yeah.
They're appointed by whom?
So the county commissioners appoint the library board,
Yeah,
and then the library board appoints the director.
so the county commissioners can tell the library board what to do.
No, no, they can't tell the library board what to do, but they can. The county commissioners can choose who goes on to the library board. So then the library board can choose who the director of the library is. Yeah.
Just a comment, they have removed people from boards in the past.
Oh, okay.
They will tell you that they cannot do it, but Hugh Bennett will tell you that.
Okay, they can remove them. They can't tell them what to do though, because that, I think, was the question. They can't like instruct the board what to do because they're on their own board. So.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
All right. Just so you know what's going on in Gillette. Very important for us to know this. Junek, are you here? Yes, he is. Ward number 2.
Good evening. I'm Mark Junek. I'm a candidate for City Council Ward 2. I grew up on a cattle and sheep ranch in northwestern South Dakota, and I've lived and worked in northeast Wyoming for about 45 years. I'll give you a second to scratch your head and say to yourself, wait, that doesn't add up. He only looks about 45. Thank you. I've always been and will be pretty conservative. During this campaign season, and if I'm elected, I plan to focus primarily on minimal government. As Ben said, trying to keep government limited to its intended role, providing essential services. Government is best done as it was originally intended, from the bottom up, city council and county commissions, instead of from the top down, as we've seen it become the last several decades. I'm going to stay brief. I'm going to finish with a few words of wisdom from Thomas Jefferson. We in America do not have government by the majority. We have government by the majority who participate. All tyranny needs to gain a foothold is for men and women of good conscience to remain silent. That's why I'm running. It's time for those of us of good conscience to step up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Well, that must be me. My goodness. I'm running for City Council Ward 3. I'll do this very quickly because some of the guys already hit on my talking points too. It's amazing how we all see eye to eye, at least the ones that we have here that come here that are running for City Council. I just want to make a quote from Ron DeSantis, who said that we are in a fight for the soul of our country. And I believe we are in a fight for the soul or the essence of our city and what our city really is. And we've seen the emails from the ex-mayor. She had to resign. And we know that there have been backroom deals. There have been executive sessions that shouldn't have been, that you're required by state statute to go into executive session only for limited things, not for what happened. My own ward council person was actually, he was pressured to resign in one of these meetings. And so I'm taking it very personal, I really am. And that's why I want to run for Gillette City Council. I also want to see that taxes remain low. I want to see the budgets remain low. The budget went up, I believe, 30% this year. 30%, am I right? Jarik, he's coming up. He'll confirm that. And then our utilities went up 8.7%. And so, we need to hold the line. We do, and I will be on it to hold the line on this crazy spending. And so I say Gillette deserves better, and I believe we can do something about it. Amen. So thank you. I appreciate your vote. If you're in Ward 3, feel free to take one of my signs, and be glad to talk to you afterwards about any questions that you might have, unless you have a quick one right now. If not, we'll move on.
Jane has one.
Yes.
Did you have a question, Jane?
Is there a question? Alrighty. Is Reuben here? Reuben?
No, not everyone on the list is speaking, it's just endorsement.
Okay.
Yep.
Jacob?
Jacob spoke last week,
Oh, okay.
last session.
All right.
yeah.
See, I was told to follow the slides.
Yeah.
Boy, am I getting in trouble
But these
here.
are just the endorsements.
Is Kelly here? We're moving along real good here.
Kelly was supposed to be here.
Okay. Butch here? Going once, twice. All right. I know this guy is here, Mr. Bill Fortner. There you go, Bill.
Thank you, Ed. Happy to be here. Nice turnout. Thank you guys for coming. I have a couple things I want to talk about tonight. I don't really want to talk about my campaign. I want to talk about what goes on in Cheyenne and why it's critically important that we have good conservatives in Cheyenne. We're building a path in the state of Wyoming's history right here, coming up ahead right here. And the reason they say that isn't just me that says it's the 10th Amendment Center, and you can go down through it with me. We'll walk down through it.
We can't hear you.
And you can see for yourselves.
Bill, can you hold the mic up like I'm holding
Okay,
it?
and you can see for yourselves exactly why it's the worst bill in the state of Wyoming's ever passed. It goes directly against the Second Amendment of the Constitution. It's supposed to be in to help us, but I think the 10th Amendment Center would be behind the Senate File 102 bill itself. Explains it the best. They go through these bills every year when a bill like this comes out. A group of constitutional scholars from the 10th Amendment Center will go through these bills and they'll go step by step through them to see if they're a good bill or a bad bill. This here bill right here is labeled as "Beware, Wyoming Governor signs fake Second Amendment Protection Act into law," and that's exactly what it is. It's fake from the front to the end. It's built full of. Well, first of all, in the bill, it leaves the qualified immunity in there. If you look up the definition of qualified immunity, first thing it talks about is it's a violation of your constitutional rights. That's number one. The police department on the very front page of this, the law enforcement, they wrote this letter to each one of us down there, and they was encouraging us not to pass a bill like Senate File 81, which was the bill before that stripped the qualified immunity out, and it also took away their constitutional provision to seize your weapons for any period of time. They call a short period of time when they seize your weapons and they go to court. They think they can put them in impound, and sometimes those court cases last decades. So that's not a short amount of time, because they want that right, and that's our constitutional right. So in this bill, Senate File 102, we give them both of those things. We give them both of our constitutional rights to them, law enforcement in the state of Wyoming. They'll argue that, you know what, this wasn't the best bill, but this bill, we had to pass something. We heard it in town hall. We had to pass something because it was the last one. It was just the last bill. Well, you know what? We got this mindset down there that we got to pass bills. We'd be ahead if we didn't pass one stinking bill down there because we got too many laws on the books already. Let's turn the laws back, you know. Let's start taking them off the books. But no, we got to pass these phony bills like this that brings us under fire by the federal government. But anyhow, I got a copy of this, and I wanted everybody to know, because when they have a town hall meeting and they get up there and they say, well, it's really important because we built a framework, now we can build on top of this framework. Well, we got to see exactly what happened in the special session with the COVID. We passed a rubber stamp bill that meant nothing down there because that's the only thing it does pass. Management council and leadership have full control in Cheyenne, and if you think you're going to go down there and pass an important bill that means something to move the ball down the field, it's not going to happen. Well, a lot of these guys, they think they're being productive. They call themselves, well, first of all, they believe that they're actually moving the ball, and they think they're actually getting things done in their mind. And it's just about as dysfunctional as you ever seen. These guys pass bills called bestiality bills. We got roadkill bills. We're wasting time on that. And we look good bills. We had 5 good bills that just went right underneath the bridge and down the river this year. And I think the number one was my bill, visitation rights, House Bill 27. And, well, why didn't they get to it? Well, Alderman Driscoll puts it at the bottom of the pile, and they said, well, you know, we just ran out of time. We sat down there for hours doing nothing, and they just run out of time. This is all done by design. And what they're doing is these important bills that force people to die alone, they can't see their loved ones. They think that's all right. They think that they have that power to strip you of your constitutional rights, for you to have somebody beside you when you're dying. That's who they are. And so anyways, that's why this is so important to me. You know, government funding, this bill leaves the door wide open for government funding. If you notice on the second page in 102, it doesn't strip the government funding because the state of Wyoming thinks they got to be big spenders. You got to have every federal dollar come to Wyoming that's offered to them, they're going to spend it. And that's where we're at down there. So every time we make a provision like this in a bill, we just enhance more strings coming into our homes. We might not know what the strings are today or tomorrow, but 10 years from now, like the COVID epidemic, we'll start to find out. And it's like our school system. We take all these federal dollars, and now they're pushing a transgender act on us, the federal government is. So here we're going to sit here and we're going to lose 97.5 million, I think the article said. So why would we want to do this? Well, it's all about overspending, corruption, and greed at the state level. I'm telling you, it's there. That's what we fight down there. You see it on the voting records. And these guys all stand up and dance around and say, well, I'm more effective than that guy is because I'm getting something done. Well, if you're getting the wrong thing done, then you're not effective. You're dysfunctional. That's the way I look at it. And that's the way things are down there. So I guess that's basically all I have to say. I'm Bill Fortner. I'm running for Senate District number 1. I got the best voting record of the freshman legislature in Cheyenne throughout the last 2 years. And the way I do that is I vote against taxes. I vote against government. I vote against government overthrowing the working man. Anything that harms a working man, causes him a hardship, I vote against it. If the bill, I read a bill twice and I don't understand it, I vote against it. That's my policy. That's the things I operate off of. That's what keeps me above the water, above everybody else. Some people don't like it, but that's who I am. So, thank you very much.
Any questions for Bill? John Bear?
So the first question I have is, on November 2nd, you're quoted in the Cowboy State Daily as saying this about a bill. It didn't pass, at the time it had passed out of the House for the special session regarding stopping vaccine mandates from the federal government. You said this: I think everybody without doubt knows this bill isn't a perfect bill. It isn't really even a good bill, said Bill Fortner from Gillette. But it's like building a house. You've got to have the foundation before you build the house, end quote. Is that not what you're saying is not true about this bill?
That's exactly right. And down there, we had the chance to send it to the Senate, and the Senate had a chance to do something with it, and they proved that they didn't want to do nothing with it because that's management council at its best.
So SF 102 passed, and we have a framework now. Is it different from your comment right there?
102 can't be built on a foundation that's sitting on quicksand, and that's exactly where 102 is
That
at.
brings up my second question. You gave all kinds of platitudes about what a terrible bill this was. It's only 2 pages long. Could you show us where it's terrible?
You what?
Show us where it's terrible. It's only 2 pages long. Show us, for instance,
On the mandate
you
bill?
said that it provides qualified immunity. Where in this bill does it provide qualified immunity?
I'm not understanding what you're saying. I can't hear you.
I'm quoting you.
You what?
You said this bill, SF 102, provides qualified immunity.
It does. It didn't take it out at all. It didn't
Show
take
us where
qualified
it
immunity
provides
out.
it.
Qualified immunity is still in that bill.
It is. Show us.
And so is seizing your constitutional rights to your weapons for a short period of time. It's still in that 102 too. It didn't take none of them
Those
out.
are all things that are current law.
To do what?
If you're saying that this law provides for that, where does it show? It's only 2 pages long.
How did you take it out if it's not in the bill?
I'll just refer to your third point, and that is that you can still get federal dollars. So it's in paragraph B that you brought up, and I'm going to read it because it's pretty simple. Nothing in this act shall limit or restrict a public officer as defined in such and such statute from providing assistance to federal authorities, and here's what's important, for the purposes not specifically identified in subsection A of this section. So subsection A says this, and I'll just paraphrase: the state is prohibited from using any personnel or funds to enforce any unconstitutional act, law, treaty, executive order, rule, regulation of the United States that infringes on individual rights guaranteed under the Second Amendment.
Okay, and then you go right on down to the last C, and you go right on down. Any public officer as defined in WS 65-101 who knowingly violates subsection A. So that leaves the door wide open to less so favorite bill, who knowingly, all they have to say is, well, I don't know, I didn't know I was doing that, I didn't know I was violating the guy's rights, I had no idea.
Are you aware
Knowingly.
that that word knowingly is also in your bill?
That's
In
a
the LIGO
loophole.
bill?
That is a loophole.
87.
Knowingly is a loophole. And the 10th Amendment, they have a 4-page thesis on exactly why that bill is no good, and you read that, you wrote that, you heard it the same time I heard
I
it,
have
in session.
I have constitutional lawyers that'll tell you why it's a good bill, including John Birch Society.
So anyways, it is what it is, Don. You guys signed off on a bad bill, and that's all there is to it, you know? And you won't be able to change it, it'll be just like the
Sorry, these
mandate bill,
people
you
want more
will
than
not be able to change that
platitudes,
bill.
They want more than platitudes. Show us where it's bad.
I think y'all need to get in the same room and talk about this.
I tried.
No, I think,
They wanna take it out
no
in the public.
trying, just like you're all in the same
No, They
room,
wanna take it out in public.
just like you're all in the same room tonight, you can get in the same room in any building in this town.
Is
Y'all
that the
need to
entire
get-
bill? Is this the entire
2
bill?
pages, yes, sir.
Let's get together. Let's get together. We're gonna lose big time.
Great, yes.
We gotta stand together.
Team. Hey, Bill, I've got a question.
I'm
So,
not defending anybody, believe me, but, you know, this, we need to get in the same room, get this straightened out. We've had a rock contract in this community.
what made you change your mind and run for the Senate District 1 versus the House district that you were in?
Way back when Judy McCullough lost the second go around in Ogden, I planned on running for the Senate then. And the only reason I ran for House District 52 was for Roy Edwards. That was the only reason I ran for that. But I figured I'd get enough experience that I could go ahead and run against Ogden when the time comes. I didn't know I was going to face a fire or a firestorm from my own conservatives and from my own county in Campbell County, Gillette.
Anything else you'd like to share, Bill?
I just want to say, you know, I'm running the most conservative record down there for the last 2 years. There is nobody in this room that can touch it. And I should be the #1 guy running against Ogden Driscoll. He's number, I think he's like 50 on one chart or 40 on another. He's way down. He's not a conservative. That guy's a liberal. And if you guys want to back a liberal or back a tiebreaker, that's totally up to you. You know, but when this race is done, whoever you put in is going to go down there. If it's going to be more of the same, or if you're going to get different representation, that's totally up to you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Next up I lost my screen, but that's okay. I saw ahead who's coming up. Jarik Dudley, running for mayor of Gillette. Come on up, Jarik.
Thank you. John Bear and so forth, thank you guys. You guys show us exactly what happens in Cheyenne. That's how business is done in politics. And you gotta argue, you gotta debate, and the truth will eventually come out and you will find the middle somewhere. Well, anyway, my name is Jarik Dudley. I'm running for mayor of the great city of Gillette in the state of Wyoming. Where do I even start? I'm running under the banner of responsible government. Now, what is responsible government?
Hold the mic up.
Oh, what is responsible government? I thought my voice was loud enough. So, what is responsible government? Well, to me, responsible government is one that has transparency and accountability. That makes sense. That's responsible government. What about councilmen and a mayor that will ask the question, where's this money going? Is it benefiting the community? Is it benefiting the citizens? So that's responsible government. And then finally, that's a tough one. But I kind of lost track of thought here, so I apologize for that. But So anyway, what I was talking about was responsible government. Well, you know what? Let me start over. Let me just talk about myself. I'm a little nervous. You know, I'm not used to talking in groups of people. I'm more of an individual person. I still do business face to face. I pay my bills face to face still. You can ask my wife. She hates it. She'd rather do it online or do auto pay. But I was born right here in Gillette, Wyoming. I was born and raised. In fact, it was a long time ago. I remember dirt roads here on Lakeway. You know, I remember a bike track in Foothills. 2 theaters, a couple grocery stores, and that was it, a couple schools. You know, and actually I met my wife. She was actually 5 years old at the time. And I was 7. And we used to run around Northwest Park, right? Run around chasing rainbows. We played in the Wagon Wheel Park all the time, on a sand castle. It was great. It was probably one of the best summers. Well, as time went on, you know, we got older. I joined the military and I was gone for a long time. I left Gillette. And I got stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. What a place. Yeah, I am a sailor. He knows. So I was there and I did 2 tours in the Middle East. Didn't really like it so much. Wanted snow again. I hated sand and came back to Gillette. Come to realize there's sand here too. So it was pretty tough. Well, wouldn't you know it? I saw my wife again. Well, not my wife at the time, but I saw that 5-year-old girl and I knew it, and I married her. Well, we have 4 kids, and my mouth is dry. Sorry. Yeah, my mouth is dry. And we had 4 kids. My youngest, Tinley, she's still in high school. She goes to Campbell County High School still. And my middle daughter, Alexi, she loves construction. She graduated last year from Campbell County High School. And we're pretty loyal to the soil around here, you know, so go Camels. And my oldest daughter, which I'll get to a little bit later, but we have a son, and he's in the Marines right now, stationed at Camp Lejeune. Hoorah, that's right. And I'm pretty excited for him. I didn't tell him to join the military. He just did it on his own. I was actually impressed. I was like, that's the best decision you ever made, boy. So, well, I get to my older daughter. She, right out of high school, from Campbell County High School, she became a substitute teacher and started substitute teaching. Well, she just gave me the best gift from the planet. She gave me a grandson just 5 months ago. So I'm a brand new grandpa, and that means a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you. It seems to be a lot easier talking about my family than it is talking about mayor stuff. But I felt I needed to make it more personal and why I'm running under responsible government. But that baby boy, when I looked at him, took my heart, took everything from me, blew me away actually. But it got me thinking, I was like, what is this town going to be like in 10 years? What's the town going to be like in 15 years? Because I know when I was gone and I came back, it was a different town. And I didn't like the way it was going. I didn't like the trajectory of it at all. And I tried to run for mayor last time to change that or correct it of some sort, at least slow it down. And it just blew me away. So that brings me to responsible government. I will be the one that asks the questions about money. Is it going to benefit the community? I sure hope so. Because if it doesn't, we ain't doing it. And as we see these new councilmen that are running, there'll be a great team.
Jarik, raise your mic up.
Oh, that would be a great team with all these new councils because they're all in line with me. You know, in the last couple of years, we saw what? Our utility rates rate, 8.6%. And you know what was really funny? When I was running last time, I even said that was going to happen. But you know what they said in retort? They said that if we pass the 1%, our utility rates will not go up. That's what they said. And it was on the news record. And I wish I had a copy of this. I used to have it on my phone. But that's what they said. But they still raised it. Not once, but twice. So, and what I mean by my councilmen, you know, representing their wards, and that's what that one part that I forgot to mention when I first started, is I want councilmen to represent their wards. No, I don't want them to represent the government to their wards. I want them to represent the ward to the government, which is a huge difference. So, I am running for mayor of Gillette. I will ask the questions, whether people like it or not, I will ask. I will encourage my councilmen to represent their ward, represent the people that they were elected by. And I want transparency and accountability, and I will always champion that. All right, so thank you. I'm Jarik Dudley. I'm running for mayor, and I approve this message. Does anyone have any questions?
How do you feel about open meetings?
Open meetings? I prefer open meetings. In fact, I think all meetings should be done openly unless you have an executive session because there's someone's name involved and you don't want that public. You know, like if we're talking about you and you come up to us and say, hey, I don't want my name out there in the world, we'll do an executive session. But what I would like to do with the executive session, if we are talking about that individual, I want that individual in the executive session.
There you go.
Any other questions?
Does Gillette collect fuel taxes?
Does Gillette collect fuel tax, like fuel surcharge?
Yeah.
No, but we do use taxes, which is, okay, wait, I said use fees. So there's a little difference. They call them fees. To me, it's a tax. Anything that's a tax related needs to get moving. But there was also another thing that I wanted to talk about. There was a resolution that was signed by our former mayor, Lois Carter King. In fact, she did it right before Election Day, and it had something to do with diversity. You guys remember that bill? Putting them in the whole situation with ADA, and you know, I don't like it, and I think since it's a resolution, we should probably pull it and get rid of it, because I don't believe that should be in with disabilities or with military service. Because you know what? If they want to say it's a choice, well, then it's not a disability. You definitely didn't earn it. So you don't need to be involved in it with anti-discrimination laws. Any other question? Nothing? Going once.
Well, I'm from a big city.
Okay.
Okay, left it in '92.
Huh?
New York had something called the Tammany Hall crew, okay?
Right.
I'm noticing that if you don't know anyone in this city, people in power, your voice does not exist. So I would like to know where can I whisper, what ears can I whisper so they can hear the problems of this city? Because I gotta tell you, it's not a bad city. I love this. This is where I'm gonna be buried. But I'm gonna tell you, I think there's too many groups against each other, and we should all just be one. Do you
I agree.
agree with that?
No, I absolutely agree with that. One of the hardest things about being conservatives is that we're very independent, and we're very independent thinkers. And that could cause a problem, because what one person defines as conservative, the others do not. You know, it depends on your extreme spectrum, I guess we could call it. So when that happens, yeah, we bicker, we argue, you know, but these Democrats, they got that stuff in check. They could sit there and put out a memo, and they will all get in line, and they will follow each other to the grave. They will destroy it. And that's exactly it. And it's a communist socialist mindset. You know, they can't think for themselves. They have to be told what to think. And you either got leaders or you got followers. And Democrats have a lot of followers. I know it's hard to say, but it's true. And conservatives, we're all independent. We're always fighting because you know what? I'm right. I know I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. Everybody's right in the conservative world. So, you know, me, I'm just putting myself out here. So when I talk, it's not that none of you guys can't do it, or the other people can't do it. Some people will do it. Some people will stand up and get scrutinized and get in trouble and have to deal with all the press and all that. But you did move to the best city in the world, by the way. Especially New York, but you did leave back pizza. You should be opening up a shop for us, because I would like a slice or two. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Trying to think how to properly put this. Okay, so I guess the budget was supposed to be 118,000,
Yeah. 118.
and we spent over 200.
208.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
What are
208.
what are you going to do to not spend 208 once you're elected?
Well, and that's a very good question. So, okay, so there's a complicated answer for that. But like I was talking about earlier about responsible government, you have to be able to tell the government, no, you're elected by the people. So you have to realize most of these budgets come from the state, they come from the municipality, and those are all bureaucratic system. And I'm not saying bureaucrats are bad people, they're all working people, they're just trying to make a living. But typically, like a human, they try to make their life a little easier. So they ask for more and more. And they don't even think about the civil rights or the property rights or the individual rights. They don't think about none of that. And they present that to the council. And then the council makes a vote. So if the council says yes to them, because, oh, hey, we need an extra $72 million to build a nice park out in the middle of nowhere, and the council's like, okay, well, what do we have on our council now? We have council members that are representing the government to the people. And I want council members that represent the people to the government. Because if the government comes to us and asks for something, and none of us agree because the people told us that's not what they want, we could tell them no. They can't spend money without our vote.
On my last council meeting, they were reading Edward, they were not listening, they were using their phones. The council meeting was so embarrassing to me, right? They just weren't paying attention to the actual things that were being spoken about. So I admire someone who wants to run for a position, but how many of those councilmen gave lies to get that position and then turn around?
Well, you know, honestly, I believe, the people I'm going against, so I got McLeland and Shea Lunball, okay? You know, they were councilmen, they were both appointed, no, McLeland was appointed, Shea got elected in, but they were also underneath Lois Carter King, the former mayor, and she had that thing on lock, and whatever she said went. They were all yes men, you know, and they became her henchmen after a while, but these guys, when they got elected, they didn't know any different. They got trained that. And that's the problem. That's why we need leaders in the council,
The
not
meetings we
followers.
used to go to, they'd say, we'll get Billy to table it. And then all in favor say aye, all against say, but bill passed. And what are we voting for? New street lights and the 7 million here, 7 million there?
Yeah.
And no discussion.
Yeah.
Are you gonna change that?
Yes, they sit there and they will do consent agendas. They will add a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I understand how consent agendas work. Consent agenda, you put, you know, you can put in like, oh, okay, the cell phones, whatever, you know, whatever the little expenses are, you can put that in consent agenda. But don't you dare put some ordinance in the consent agenda without debating it publicly.
Or
Yeah, anything like that. It's all, and that's how they hide stuff, you know. And I'm not a big fan of that. So hopefully we can get a new council in there, a new mayor in there, and we can make those changes. And if we get conservative people, where's Mr. Decker at? We get someone like that, solves numbers and does his research, guess what? He's gonna be voting for the people. Whether, yeah, he could disagree with me, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because he's his own leader. You know, a great leader has better leaders below him.
So as we finish,
Yes, ma'am.
you're getting the cutoff, so we can move
Am I
on.
getting cut off?
I just want to make the final statement to end this, is I am extremely excited, Jared, for you and Ed and Mark and Ben, and hopefully James West, to work together, campaign for each other, and coordinate everything you're saying and run as a team.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Jarik. Exciting things for city council. Exciting things. But we're going to finish up. We're going to let Troy McKeown come on up, and there's a couple of things he has on his heart tonight. It's good to hear from everybody this evening. A man that needs no introduction. This one's louder.
Good evening. Thanks for your time, everybody. I appreciate it. As we start looking forward to the next session, I got a call from the superintendent for state schools. We talked for a little while. I think I understand where he's at. but I'm not gonna tell you 100%. I do think he's right, and I think they may have twisted some of what he said, but he's absolutely opposed, as am I, to bringing any of the transgender stuff into schools and tying it to federal funding. We all stand up here and we talk, and I listen to some of my contemporaries, and we never talk about how could we solve this problem without the federal money? Maybe we can't. I don't believe that, but have we even looked at it? So when he says this is going to take legislative involvement to end this, I believe that he's 100% right. I don't think he can do it by himself. And I don't think they can do it through executive orders because of the way the block grant's set up. So we start talking about that, you almost have to break the block grant apart. And we've been fighting for that for years. Well, others have been fighting for it for years. Me, just 2. I guess that is years, huh? And on some of these issues, we gotta come together and go figure out what the best plan to tear this apart is. Because eventually, the federal government's not gonna have any more money. As we start seeing gas prices at $6 a gallon and huge utility bills. And most of you know I own a grocery store. You want to talk about fun the last 2 months? Try to find saltine crackers.
Yeah, you're right.
Try to get quality meat. And it's going to get tough.
Then have to start stocking up on ramen noodles.
I'll introduce you to my kids. They can cook them in a microwave in about 20 seconds. I don't know how they do it. But as we move forward, on some of these issues, we can't be divided on federal funding. We can't sit through another school board meeting and listen to Ann Oakes tell me there's no strings attached to funding. We have a school board for a reason. And this is where I'm going with this. This is their problem. They get the block grant, they want it, they want to be in charge of it. Fix it. You find the $97 million. I'm pretty sure it won't be that hard on a 1.8, 1.9, I think it's even up to $2 billion budget that they're working with right now. I think we could find food for kids. And I think if we can't, we send them to school with a packed lunch. Believe it or not, a long time ago in this great country, we used to educate kids without the federal government, without the state government. And they were actually smarter. Have you looked at some of your textbooks from like 1915, 1920? There's no pictures. It's the cube root of 237. Oh, by the way, if you need help, the quadratic equation's in the back. So, yes, sir.
What did he say? We couldn't hear, the camera couldn't hear.
He said the equation would be in the front of the book, too.
Oh.
But as we look, we're going to look at some more school of choice stuff, some more homeschooling bills, too. But at the end of the day, does everybody in here remember Betsy DeVos? What a nutbag, huh? I want to be a superintendent. I want to be in charge of the federal school system. And the first thing I want to do is get rid of it. Well, you saw how long she lasted. So it's gonna take us all, and we're gonna have to help Mr. Schroeder out a little bit. I'm not sure he's got a lot of backing in Cheyenne from the other elected officials. So I think it's critical, and we gotta find a way ahead. If we keep allowing this, I am afraid that in 2 more years, we won't be having meetings like this anymore. It's time to kind of put up or shut up, I guess. So we're gonna look real hard at that. And I was kind of honored that he worked with me on it and reached out. Probably because I'm one of the most vocal on federal funding. But if you solve that problem, then you can move on to the highway problem. Fixing roads versus, it's got the same problem in my mind as the school administration does. It's so top heavy and so expensive to run it that by the time you get snowplow operators, they're not making a whole lot of money, but everybody they work for are. And we never look at that. When is the last time you heard many of us say, why don't we just cut spending? It's not even an option sometimes. And we all kind of fought really hard on lowering the tax on the coal mine, 0.5%. That is the first tax cut that I can find in Wyoming in about 60 years. A true tax cut. Not the move the little shells around and say, look, we're saving you money. It reminds me of, you used to go home and talk to your wife, and you're looking in the living room, and she's got a whole bunch of new stuff, and what does she say? Look at how much money I saved today.
Pennies.
And I'm sure there's husbands that do it too. Equal opportunity with this one.
But it's on sale.
And I'm excited about some of the new candidates. I think we got a lot of hope. But it's going to be go back down to the grind. And I'm not saying every issue, but I will say this. We need to have some issues that we don't compromise on.
That's right, yeah.
Once you compromise, you've lost. And I would like to see us do away with a lot more laws than we create also. So I'll echo
Yes.
Bill's on that, Bill Fortner's words on that one. There are 19 books. It's a lot. And every statute, every law we pass strips a little more of your freedom. It strips a little more of your liberty. It gets you closer and closer. I was reading an old book the other night, and I thought to myself, when I learned about propaganda, I thought, who would ever believe it? Anybody got a cell phone? Get Facebook out and listen to Joe Biden tell you how great the economy's doing.
How do you educate people? There's what, 60 people here? We have meetings, and you can look at posts on Facebook, you can go online, you can watch Newsmax, you can watch OAN, you can watch conservative news. But the same people keep voting for the same things, and then when it happens, they, oh, I didn't do that. How could this happen? I didn't vote for that. Yeah, I mean, how do you do it?
I
don't know how you guys could even go down to Cheyenne, I really don't. My hat's off to you.
I'd like to answer that if I could.
give me just a minute then. I think it starts in this room. I think you tell two people and they tell two people and they tell two people. I think that was a commercial once for shampoo. And pretty soon it was like blip, 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 blip. Hey. And I think we just got to keep working, be available. I do my very best to answer phone calls and any of the emails I get, even the ones that call me exceptionally ignorant.
I think it's a great question, and several things have been brought up here tonight that really do address it. Jarik, keep messing that up now. Jarik said that he wanted to have a more transparent government, okay? That's how I educate people, is I've made what we do in Cheyenne a lot more transparent. It's a lot of work, but every single night I do a 5 to 15-minute video. And now I have another legislator that does it with me. And we give the highlights of what's going on down there, what we're voting for, what we're voting against, and why. So people have an opportunity to respond to that, ask us questions online. We post it on YouTube, we post it on Rumble, and there's at least 2,000 or 3,000 people that see that video every night. So that's what I.
Can anybody walk in and observe?
Okay, you can observe, but if you go to a committee meeting, you can actually have input. And we always want public input. But just like the federal government, our state government does this during the day, when most of you folks are working. And so unfortunately, the time that you can get in there and communicate how your heart feels about something is while you're working. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
Should establish someone from each district to go on one of your sessions, sit on it, get records, come up here and report. Every time you have a session, then we know exactly who's voting and who is not.
There are a few people who do that. There are.
No, I
No,
know
there are
there
a
are
few
people
people
who
who
do
do
that. I think we should organize a group from every district to go down there. And I'll be the first one to grab my, I don't care how much the gas is, I'll go down to Cheyenne.
You just marked yourself.
That's okay.
You're the man.
That's it. I'm retired, that's no problem.
And with that, yes, ma'am.
On
Hold on, Mark.
budget, back to the budget. Is the 97 million that the feds are wanting to give us and attach strings to it, is that, because I think I've heard you say that 10% of our budget comes from the feds. So is that 97 million part of that 10%? Or is this like something separate from that?
Very good point. It's new money, so it will increase the amount of, the larger percentage that we have that supports the school system. Now, not being the smartest guy in the room, my first question while I was talking to him is, what does it cost to feed the students in the state of Wyoming at a school, through our school districts? We'll have to get back to you on that. It wasn't.
Feeding everybody, every day. They don't know what it costs to feed students.
2 meals, breakfast and lunch.
Anybody.
And as everybody's pointed out in this community, I don't think there will be many children that ever go hungry. It would shock you what we send out the back door even at Dawn's to help out. And I know everybody else does. So it is doable. It's just, what are the priorities? Maybe, I'm gonna get struck by lightning for saying this. Maybe we cut back a little on sports.
Come on. Maybe we don't take a diesel bus that holds 85 kids out in the boonies to pick one kid up because he missed the bus. I mean, I know what happened when I was a kid and I missed the bus. We invented a new term. You better start using your Lamborghinis.
Except Troy, me and several of my friends, I recently graduated, but we would actually skip having lunch if we didn't have any money to go up to Smith's or something, because no matter how much money is put into the lunch system, the lunches have gotten terrible. They're disgusting to the point where most kids find them completely inedible. They're just nasty.
And throw most of it away.
Yeah, throw most of it away. We'll eat the vegetables on the plate more than we eat.
I really
like, the little
appreciate
slice
you
of
saying
pizza.
that, so I didn't have to.
It's disgusting.
Oh, here's something else, and I know this for a fact. I went and witnessed it when my kids were going to school. If their lunch account got down to close to zero, it wasn't going in the negative. You couldn't call and say, hey, feed my kid today and I'll bring you some money this afternoon. Nope. We're going to get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because we have to give your kid something. And then they're out throwing it all away at that back end of the school.
And instead of talking about mostly about feeding the kids, the administrative budget, how much what chunk of it is part of the budget? The administrative budget, because in some cities they have an assistant for an assistant for an assistant principal for a principal, and that's 4 people, okay? And what I'm saying is that food. I was from a poor family. I lived on welfare in the projects in Brooklyn. The food in school kept me alive. Sometimes it was the only meal I had. So instead of thinking about what we're feeding the kids, we should be thinking about what we're feeding the administration, and we're not getting anything out of it. Other just negativity.
I would agree with that even more. In fact, 2 years ago, the use it or lose it theory, spend it or you don't get it back. There was a plasma cutter in the bus barn. Evidently, there was a lot of money left over that we had to spend right away. Go try to find that plasma cutter now. I'm not sure where it's at, but
It's somebody's garage, that's where it's at.
I don't think there's a shop class using a plasma cutter.
Hey, Troy, what do you think the reason is that we passed 3 of them?
Say, what do you think the reason for passing 3 abortion bills in the last 2 sessions in a trigger bill, and now they're opening a brand new abortion clinic in Casper, opening this month? What do you think the cause of that is?
I think we got to go back to where do we stand as a group? What are we willing to compromise and not compromise on? We sent a bill down to the governor so he would sign it. It was fraught with many issues. Many events happened over it. But at the end of the day, Senator John Cole went down and talked to the governor and found out he wasn't going to sign the bill unless the amendment was on it. And that's where I say we as a group need to draw a hard line and just say no more. If he doesn't sign it, he doesn't sign it.
Right. Yeah, very good.
So you would prefer to have no trigger bill?
You would prefer to have no trigger bill than abortion become illegal when the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade?
I believe the way that bill is written, there are many, many holes in it.
Can you give us some?
Yeah. If you're raped, you can get an abortion. If there's something wrong with the baby, you can get an abortion. If it's incest, you can get an abortion. And here's my dark view of 2 years of working down there and dealing.
And you're talking about Roe v. Wade, federal or state? Okay.
Federal. Working on the Health and Labor Committee and fighting through these bills, I voted for them, John. I would agree with you. But at some point in time, we've passed 4 or 5 abortion bills, and there's a new clinic in Casper. So I guess what I'm saying is, where do we draw the line? And how do we do it as a group? And how do we stick together and come to an agreement before that happens? I don't trust the doctors. And I'm sure you sat through some of the committee meetings with them. And they got HIPAA protecting them. So it'll be interesting to see that. And, my opinion, and that $6.59 will get you a gallon of diesel fuel. I'm not sure Roe versus Wade's ever going to be overturned. But we'll see what happens.
From what I've read anyway on the Supreme Court is they want to overturn Roe versus Wade. All they want to do is leave it up to the state to decide whether they want it or not.
That's what they're advertising.
Yeah.
That would be overturning Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade makes it so that the federal government decides.
It's not a real law.
So it's not a constitution, whatever law.
Well, and I'll point out, these clinics started as population control. Look where they're built. Look who uses them. Look who put it together. Roe versus Wade was never about a woman's right to choose or freedom or any of that.
Selecting what you want in the society. People like me, I'm gone. They don't want somebody with heart attacks, and they want perfect people. That's what the socialist Nazis did in Germany. And we cannot even think about doing that here.
Well, and as we go down, I'm going to jump off on a quick tangent. As we go down healthcare, especially for some of us in this room, I'm almost 32, so that's about over. But at the end of the day, Germany, I was stationed there 5 years, they have socialized medicine. And it's great. Just ask them, it's free. But here's how it works. You get triaged at the hospital based on your age or your existing conditions, any of that. And you just go to the bottom of the list. There are a lot of cancer patients in Germany that never see any treatment for those reasons. But if you're 25, 26, in good shape, and we can help you out, you go to the top of the list.
Yeah, Obama said if you were old, you didn't need that pill. You're already old, you're ready to die. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's what Obama said.
But at the end of the day, if we're in a free market economy and we're living the capitalist dream, your health care is your responsibility. It has nothing to do with your age. It has everything to do with what you did and the decisions you made during your life. Does that hold true for everybody? Probably not. But the lion's share, nobody got successful by accident. Nobody got where we're at today by chance. Maybe somebody had a rich uncle. I'm still looking for mine. But, I mean, at the end of the day, people work hard. And that's why I like this group. Everybody in here works hard. And we're down there trying to protect you guys. But I'm gonna go back to some of the critical legislation. I think we need to work a lot closer together on it. I think we need to have a boundary, a left and right limit, if you will. And with it, yes, ma'am.
Well, I don't mean to change the subject, but I would like for you to tell us what we can do as a group, individuals, to reach Brian Schroeder, to encourage him not to take the money. I know some people are gonna go to the school board here and talk about it tomorrow night, is that right, or Wednesday?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night. What can we do? Should we call him?
I would call, I would email, and I'd give the man a chance, ask him your hard questions, because I'm not sure he wasn't saying he needs legislative help to fix the funding problem. As I read through the article and talked to him, I'm not sure he said we need $97 million more. But I don't know. And I'll let you guys read it and talk to him and see where he's at on that.
Well, I do know in other places where they put these gender-neutral bathrooms in, some of the children will wait all day long. They will not go. And it's very traumatic for them, and we can't have this in Gillette. We just can't have it. So everybody call Brian.
Well, and another thought, your child's right ends where my child's rights start. In other words, you can't force this on every child. And I don't think we should be paying federal money, state money. Oh, by the way, where do you think federal money comes from? It's still your money. We just put a layer in between it, and it's magically free now. And then we have people of the mindset, they're gonna spend it anyway, so we better go get it. And this is a perfect bill to bring up tonight, or what's coming down the pike. Eventually, we gotta say no. And unfortunately, a large portion of Wyoming's budget is from federal funds. We're kind of like crack addicts when it comes to federal funding. And we've lived on it for so long. Yes, sir.
Why doesn't Wyoming just keep Wyoming's money instead of giving it to the federal government? I heard we only get 10% back for what we give to the feds. So why don't we just keep our own money and spend it on what we need? And why don't we start telling the feds what to do instead of vice versa? 10th Amendment.
We have that ability. It'll be ugly. And the first thing you're going to hear is, oh, the courts won't allow it. Well, at some point in time, we probably need to revisit a civics lesson and understand the court's job is not to legislate from the bench. The court's job is not to decide what's right and wrong. The court's job is to uphold those wonderful statutes that we write, good or bad. And we got to start pushing back on that. And the whole executive order thing, what a mess. And I've talked long enough. I said I'd keep it short. Any more questions before I sit down?
Any other questions?
What recourse do we have for judges?
They come up for both. Yeah.
They're not all appointed?
Yes, they are.
They get appointed, but they get reconfirmed every election.
Right.
And I always vote no. Always, for every judge.
That's consistent, remember that.
Thank you.
by the way, Lyle Austin was not available tonight, so we miss him. But the county convention, we all attended. Anybody can attend the county convention. And at our table, we brought forth a resolution that would stop transgender men from competing in women's sports. I won't say the lady's name, but she's in my precinct, and she stopped it, and she's in the Frontier Republicans. And then, so it was stopped, but then what we do is we go to the state convention, and we brought it forward from the floor, the same resolution. It passed without debate unanimously. So here in Campbell County, they don't care about the children. And there's another resolution that Ben did on obscenity in the library. And the resolution would be like a stepping stone to get it passed in legislature. And they said that resolution was illegal because what happened, our legislators years ago passed a bill, a statute, that removed the obscenity penalties from libraries, schools, museums, and colleges, so they can put all the hardcore filth they want in the library children's section. That's what we found. Schools all over, and that's how they're getting away with it. So we had to dig to find all this out. But it's not legal because there's this thing called the Miller test. Obscenity is what the community views it as, basically. And so, but they won't listen to us yet. So we've got to keep pushing in these different avenues like that. But our Campbell County current precinct committee would not approve these two resolutions. I want you guys to know that because you won't see it in the news record. And I was just appalled that this lady stopped it, but we got it passed. It's in the state resolutions now. And we'll bring it forth again in 2 years and keep fighting this and get a legislator to try and get this thing overturned down there. Because if you haven't been to the library or seen the books, they're worse than you could ever imagine.
That's right.
And you can talk to Ben Decker. He's been very bold about that. And we are winning a little bit. This is the first time, well, we put it up on the board, in years there's no Pride Month. And the books are, and the Pride Month was pushed on our teenagers. They were the target. So anyway, I'm very passionate about that.
Where do the or I should say the pornography laws, is there a way to attack what's going on with the pornography laws, illegality of pornography?
From what we've discovered, and Ben, you might want to help out with this one if you have any thoughts on it. You have to almost take it to court. This Miller, you can research the Miller versus California by the Supreme Court. And but it's determined, obscenity is determined by the people, but they're just digging their heels in here and saying somebody who's running against her, against the guy running against her, told me that not everybody thinks it's pornography.
We can't see it.
He told me personally, I showed him the Drag Kid book, he said not everybody thinks it's porn. And so
is there a line between obscenity and, I guess that's my question, and pornography?
Okay, and that's the thing. They say it's not, and they try to say it's educating the LGBT kids, but it's not education, it's promotion of hardcore material. And I've researched a lot of these books they're coming out of and who's writing them. They're being written by transgenders.
You mean Wyoming does not have a law, like in many other states that I've been, that pornography cannot be within arm's reach of a kid? Let's say he walks into a convenience store. He cannot see Hustler, Playboy. He can't see that, and they can't show it to him.
The penalty was removed by legislatures around 2011.
So it doesn't exist here.
It's 6-304. You go under Wyoming. Wyoming. I'm still learning on a lot of this, but I think it's 6-304. You can look that up. Wyoming statutes. You pull it up on your phone right now, and you can read the very last one. It's the 3 I's. It removed penalties for schools, museums, colleges, and libraries. That's how they do it.
But they still have it in the stores.
convenience stores?
No, they
still have
don't,
them there, but it
they don't-
makes sense.
they don't have the books that are in the children's section. No, yeah, these books in the books in the kids area are worse than the Hustler and Playboy.
Right.
Well, yes, here we go. And then you can explain some.
Okay, I read a study by Liberty University, whoever they is, and it doesn't really say, in around 2010, they got groups in each state, most states, and now I think there's like 30 of the states exempt libraries, schools, whatever, from the obscenity laws, and there's nothing that we can do about it. That law needs to be changed, but I don't know how they got that through, but they did it in most states of the union, and it's separate. You can't, at the quick shop, you can't have it, has to have a cover, but in the library it's okay because they are exempt from this obscenity law, and they make a distinction between obscenity and pornography, but the line is so small that it's really non-existent.
Yes, and you've done your research. Yes, I have. Yes, and so has Ben. Ben, your thoughts on this?
So to be obscene, it has to be of prurient interest, and it has to be considered obscene by the majority in the community, which actually gets difficult to prove legally, but there are some states without the exemption for penalties for libraries in schools, and in those states they're already losing lawsuits. So the court system, there's already precedent that it is considered obscene. So if we're able to remove that part of the statute and make penalties for libraries and schools, then we would win lawsuits because there's already precedent set that the books are obscene. So.
I will say, if anybody questions how bad it is, Ben has a couple pictures on his phone. We couldn't put them up here, and they're in the teen section.
One's in the teen and one's in the parenting section. But the strange thing about these particular ones in the parenting section is they were on the bottom two shelves and they were right next to the children's section. And I know, like, you look up books in the catalog and find them that way, but if kids were just browsing around, they could easily look at those ones too. It's not like it's separate, but so one of them was in the parenting section for little kids, and one of them is in the teen section that I have on my phone now that I can show you. So.
How many times can you check out one of these books?
We got one other question back.
All the time.
You can check out them a lot of times, but you don't want to keep checking them out because they'll just buy more. They think it's high demand.
Well, one thing to consider, if I were to check out one of those books and show it to my neighbor girl, I could be arrested. But not the librarians. Because I'm not protected by that law. Only the counselors, librarians. So don't even go there and try to figure that logic out.
So one thing we can all do, contact the county commissioners and tell them we want, number one, Scott Clem to be put on the library board. He's applied, and there's other candidates that are very good, but if we can get Scott Clem on there, this will help. And so we all need everybody to do this. This won't stop unless we fight it.
One other question.
So regarding Scott Clem, was there a vacancy on the board?
There's three.
Oh, three-year league meeting.
Two terms ending, I think the 30th of June.
All right, one other announcement, Jacob. We're finished for tonight.
Thank you. I'm Jacob Dalby. I'm running for county commissioner. I just wanted to let you all know that we've got a meeting on June 24th at the George Amos building at 6 p.m. And 4 of the most conservative people that are running for political office will be there. Brett Beann running for governor, Chuck Gray running for secretary of state, Bill Fortner. What's that? 24? Yep. Bill Fortner running for Senate District 1, and myself running for county commissioner. Thank you.
Sounds good.